Hi guys, welcome to iDrum magazine. My name's Pat Garvey. In this issue, we're going to look at some metal ideas, or specifically a metal idea, and even more specifically, that groove or collection of notes, if you prefer, that I just opened with. And we're going to break it down. I had a few emails from a few guys from the last series of lessons when we looked at some double kick stuff, way outside the context of metal, just in terms of kind of groove and different feels and different approaches and concepts. That no one's really doing any kind of metal stuff. So I thought I'd bring this to the frame. This is the ending to a track of a metal band I used to play with. We did this particular recording with a producer called Colin Richardson and Andy Sneap, both very famous metal producers. And it's basically the very final end section of the track, and it's quite an interesting take on things. When I was thinking about the material I could do, and I thought there's loads of great double kick resource out there, so we don't really need to go into that. There's some great guides for that as well. So I thought I'd just put my take on it really, and break this groove down for you in a way that hopefully makes some kind of sense, and that you can over time put together. Same rules apply. Start slowly with it. Take the process that I'll kind of talk you through now. Where we start with this is really, we were looking at the guitar riff, and I was thinking, how can I phrase with that in a way that keeps the groove interesting, that keeps it kind of cool and frantic, but also is going to push me and make me think about different ways of doing things. So the first thing we'll do is I'll explain to you basically how it works. And how it worked for me was I was thinking in groups of 2s and 3s, okay? In as much as the rhythm of it, so if I play the rhythm of it just slowly, okay? And this is basically the whole, what everything fits around, okay? You've got this. Now for me, when I was practicing this, it was a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So if it makes sense to you to think of it as a 2, 3 and a 6, then that's fine. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I break it down into 2s because we've got 2 on the snare, 2 on the kick, 2 back on the snare again. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We'll come back to that in a minute, but that's the basic idea. And all we've done then is I've augmented the whole thing with cymbals and finding a way of phrasing it all. Speed we'll talk about in a little bit as well. The other aspect of this is the fills, okay? And these are triplet fills, 16th note triplet fills. The track was originally is basically in 4/4. The whole end section is in 4/4, but it's got a real triplet feel. So on the notation, I put it in 12/8, the compound time signature of 12/4, because it makes it easier to read and makes more sense when you're kind of playing it and phrasing around it. The first thing is these triplet fills then. Now, the pattern I'm playing is left foot, right. So we've got this. If I play it slowly, now all I'm doing is moving that around the kit, okay, considerably faster than that, but that's where it started. And then I'm just alternating hands, and the dynamics are pretty one level, because it's loud, it's fast, and it just needs to sound quite full on. But the best way of practicing these ideas is with dynamics, so you get the control over them, okay? So if I take this kind of idea and I'll just kind of put it around the kit, this is the kind of thing that I practice or did practice for getting these kind of ideas together, okay? So So you're basically just taking an idea like that and expand on it, put a click on, work ways out around it. It's really important to work on the dynamics though, because that's where the control is, and you hear a lot of people doing this kind of thing, and it fits into any genre. These types of fill can be used, not in all situations, but they can certainly be used, so it's worth having the control over them. That's the first thing to think of, because as you look at the notation, if you're looking at the notation, which is there to download, the first thing you'll notice is that there are a fair few notes on the page, okay? And you'll also see where these fills are interspersed, okay? They basically go in section changes or leading to some kind of change or suggesting that something's going to happen. Now, if we go back to basically how the groove was constructed, so I'm thinking 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, okay? That's my rhythmic phrase, if you like. Here's where we left off. Now, to practice that, I'm just going to put it on loop, and I'm going to put it against my right hand, okay? Just playing those what would be eighth note triplets if we were using 4/4, okay? So have a listen. Now the first thing to do would be to build a bit of speed on it, okay? Speed with this kind of thing, there are a lot of exercises for speed, and the first thing, as we've talked about, is control, but then it comes to this type of music, and if you're trying to do something, you've just got to do it and find a way of being able to do it. That's how I used to approach this when I was doing a lot of this. It was, if I couldn't do something, I'd play at that speed until I found a way of being able to play at that speed. I was younger, I didn't hurt myself, so you know, be careful. But you can sit there for a very long time trying to do this. At the end of the day, at some point you've got to go for it. We're going to speed it up a bit, but I'm going to keep the volume down. Okay, so we're still talking about control. So at no point there am I kind of stressing out. The footwork is very light, okay? It's very relaxed. It's from the ankles. It's not from the legs or from the knees or anywhere else. They're very kind of short, sharp flicks of the ankle, really. We're not going to break that down. It's the triplet idea is one that you can hear on loads of metal records now. The first guy to really do it for me was Vinnie Paul on the Pantera records. But you can practice the whole triplet idea simply. However you like, in much the same method that you can practice. All those kind of ideas. The second thing was to then make the groove kind of work or augment it as into more of a part. Okay, so add to it basically, and that was with cymbals. Now, I'll play you the part and then I'll add the cymbals onto where I'm hitting them. Okay, so here's the part basically. So we're still not hitting anything particularly hard. The next thing was I found a ghost note that worked and helped the whole kind of thing smooth along a bit. I'll put the snare on so now you can hear it a bit clearer, but here's where the ghost note fits into it. All it does is just add to its movement. It keeps the whole thing kind of flowing, and I think it's a nice take, sneaking something like that into this type of situation. Now then, the next thing to do is to really take what we've got. Okay, so if I play the part, it's going to be fine. It's going to be the part, but it's not going to work because we've got no power, we've got no volume. So I'm going to add some volume and some level to it. Okay, so here's our part. Now there's our level, right? There's our volume and there's our power. So now the next thing to be added really is to take it to some kind of speed, and particularly in context with the track. So I'm going to start playing it a bit quicker, but still keep the volume down. I'll start it on the ride, then I'll add the cymbals, then I'll add the volume, okay? And you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. There's our power. So the next thing then is for me to practice it exactly as you've got it on your notation, or pretty much exactly, give or take the odd note, and try and get it up to some kind of workable speed. So I'm going to put the click on 80 BPM, which is the tempo of this bit, 4/4, okay, and just play that groove around and around and around. Then I'm going to start to intersperse the various drum fills that kind of split the whole thing up and give it make sense with the actual guitar part and the music. Okay, so here we go. Now, the idea is when you practice that kind of thing and you intersperse those kind of fills, you go way kind of above and beyond what you necessarily have to do for the track, which means you've always got that 20% headroom should you need to take it up another level, which is one of the reasons when you listen to good drummers playing, especially this type of music, they're not hitting the ceiling by any stretch of the imagination. They've got a load more in their tank to really be able to push it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the part to the guitar track. Okay, so I got Nick, the guitarist, to re-record the track, the guitars for us. This is available for you to download. Okay, it's with the click. So you've got this whole part to kind of play around and mess around with. You'll notice in the first 4 bars, it leads up to this end section. Just play time. You'll see what I'm playing. You can copy that if you like. It's really just a lead-in section, so it doesn't go kind of straight into the madness. See what you think, have a mess around with it. I hope you got something out of this. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good session, this one. Enjoy it. Take care. See you next time.